Hi everyone! So today's tutorial is going to be how to crochet in a tubular shape, I guess, how to crochet a tube. This is a quick example that I just knocked up myself just now using 2 rows of double crochet, and when I say tubular I literally mean I have crocheted it so that it creates a tube. This method is ideal for making hats, headbands, scarves, lots of different things really. Socks, stockings, you could crochet stockings for Christmas using this method. It's really simple, quick and easy to do. There's 2 separate methods which I'm going to be doing both examples of today, and basically show you how to do that. And the reason I'm doing that is because I am going to be sharing a pattern on the blog which is for a hat and scarf set, so this would then give you what you need to be able to create the scarf. So I'm going to be working with my 5.5mm hook again, and the same yarn that this is made out of, and I will get that sorted and be back. Okay. Excuse me, so I'm back and I have got my yarn and my hook, and what you're going to need to do first of all is slip knot onto your hook as you normally would, and then crochet however many chains your pattern calls for. Today I'm just going to crochet 20. Okay, so I've done my 20. And the next step is to make it into the tube. So the first method I want to show you is this, where you get your chain, however long it is, and you have to carefully make sure that all those little V's are facing the same way, and then you bring that side over and you go into that first chain, and once it's on your hook you can just double check it to make sure that they're all facing the same way, which they are, and then you would do a slip stitch, which is yarning over, pulling through the loop in the chain and pulling through the loop on your hook, and that would create that circle or that round. Okay, so I'll show you that again. You get your chain, however many that may be, and you carefully pull it out like that and make sure that everything is done. And I'll do it proper slow-mo so that you can see, but you have to really, really carefully bring that over and go into that chain there, making sure to keep everything all the same way, which I've managed to do there. Again then, you would just do a slip stitch, which is going in, yarning over, pulling through the loop in the chain and pulling through the loop on your hook. Okay, so I've then got all my V's facing the inside, the back bump facing the outside, and that is how you would start creating a tubular shape. The next step is to then make a chain to compensate for the stitch you're using. So I'm using a double crochet today, so I will chain 3. That chain will act as your first stitch. That chain will act as your first stitch of the round, and what you would then do is crochet into each stitch all the way around until you get back to that last stitch there. So I'll go ahead and do that now and show you what to do. Okay, so I'm about to do the last stitch into that final chain there. That completes my round. what you're going to want to do next is find the chain that you started with. So those 3 there are my beginning chain. And then you would do another slip stitch into the top of that chain there, just like you did when you first started. So you would do that. And that then creates the tube, the tubular shape that you're trying to achieve. If you had to go on to another round, you would then do exactly the same as you did in the previous round, where you would chain 3 and then continue working the round with your double crochet if you're doing a double crochet. It's up to you what pattern you're following, so therefore the stitches you'll be following might not be a double crochet, but that's what I'm using today. Okay. So that's how you would do this tubular with that method. And it's very important to show that with this method, this first method, when you're working your rounds, the right side of the stitch, so the side of the stitch that you want to see, is on the inside of the tube. So what you can see now is the back side of the stitch. So whenever you're working in this first method with the chain and the slip stitch in the chain together, and you would continue to work this way, and then when you get to the end of your project, you would turn it inside out so that the stitches are facing the right way. Okay. That's the back side of the stitch. That's the right side of the stitch, the front to the back. So you would, however many rows you've got and however big it is, when you reach the end of your project, you would turn it inside out so that your stitches were all facing the right way. Alright, so I'm going to undo this and then I'm going to show you the second method. Alright, so for the second method, again you need to slip knot onto your hook and create a chain. So I'm going to do 20 again. For this method, once you've chained however many chains you need, if a turning chain hasn't already been added in by your pattern, then you will need to do a turning chain. So you would chain an extra 3 if you're working in double crochet, and then you would count back 1, 2, 3, 4, and you would work a double crochet into that 4th chain from the hook, and that would then give you a turning chain and your first stitch, but your turning chain would actually act as your first stitch of that row. And then what you would do then for this second method is crochet all along the row back to where you began. So I'll go and do that now and show you what the next step is. So I'm at the last stitch of the row. I'm going to go and double crochet into that last chain, or that first chain, however you want to say it. Do my double crochet. So I've got a complete row of double crochet from my turning chain right the way back to the bottom. And what you will then need to do is turn your work and repeat what I showed you for the first method. So you would bring that side over to that side, and then you would slip stitch into the top of your turning chain. Let me go under that one as well. our thumbs today. And you would do that slip stitch. So you would bring that through the first loop and the second loop. Now obviously you can see that's not connected. So you would continue with your project, and when you reach the end of your project you would use this tail of yarn there just to sew that round together. But any rounds after that first one where you do the row instead of slip stitching the chain together, you would just continue as you would with the first method I showed you. So you would do a chain and then you would continue along with your stitches. What you will find with this method is your stitches are facing the right way out when you are crocheting, so when you get to the end of your project you don't need to turn this one inside out. And that would then give you that tubular shape. Again, then you would go all the way around, slip stitch into the top of the turning, or slip stitch into the top of the chain, chain 3, continue. Like I said, at the end of your work then you would just stitch those together, and that would be your first round. Okay, so I hope that explains how to do the tubular method. If there's any questions you've got or anything you want to know, sound off in the comment section or head on over to the blog and ask me any questions you've got. And if you're loving what you're seeing, click thumbs up or follow us on the blog or subscribe to our YouTube channel because it's amazing and you love it. So goodbye then. Bye.